Pat Mayo Hour.
Welcome to the Pat Mayo Hour. UFC on Fox 18 Fight Night, Newark, DraftKings, Kountermove Daily Fantasy Preview. I, of course, am Pat Mayo, with host of the Bookie Beatdown, Cody Saftik. So, I took your lineup from last week. I won some money with Luke Sanders on Kountermove.
Oh, cool hand.
That was terrific, and I won every 50-50 I entered on DraftKings. So cash games, that's what we're looking for here. I mean, GPPs, those are going to be up in the air, but cash game-wise, you're 1 for 1. I gotta see if you can beat your 7-week winning streak from last year.
Well, we're on to a good start with 1 for 1.
All right, so let's get right into it. Who's the first guy I gotta have? Must-have of the week.
Must-have of the week. Well, he's definitely very expensive if you're going to play a team like Kountermove. But DraftKings, I got to think Anthony Johnson here. I know
Really?
A lot of people are questioning the cardio. A lot of people are saying, well, Ryan Bader's reinvigorated. Ryan Bader doesn't match up with particularly well with this level of opposition, guys that can stuff takedowns and keep this a standing battle. Anthony Johnson, when he beats you, Pat, he typically beats you in empathetic fashion by knocking you clean out, and I would kind of expect that to happen here. If not in the first round, probably in the second round. If not in the second round, in the third round. If it doesn't happen in that third round, then he's in trouble. But I think it's going to happen in 1, 2, or 3.
Well, for the price at 10-9 on DraftKings and 5-8 on Kountermove,
that's a lot.
Super expensive. So
A lot.
when you made your teams, do you use Anthony Johnson on them? Like, are you able to find enough scrub guys at the bottom in these cheap value prices that you can actually afford him on a team?
Well, originally on Kountermove, I wasn't able to afford him. I mean, 5,800 on Kountermove is quite expensive. But then the more you think about it, you're like, okay, I just need one dog I think is going to come through. Now, who's that dog that's going to come through? And in this case, we happen to find one that not only has a good shot of coming through, but he's so undervalued that it's not like, okay, I'm going to get him for 9,000. I'm sure we're going to get to it in a little bit here, but for 8,400 on Kountermove, Brian Barberina is single-handedly saving the rest of your lineup.
All right, well, tell me about Brian Barberina.
Yeah, Barberina. This guy, honestly, very, very undervalued. If you look at the fact that Sage Northcut is this huge superstar, he's only 19 years old.
Sage Northcut is minus 470 on the betting line. That might be the biggest betting line on this card.
Yeah.
He's $11,000. You don't think he's any good?
Well, he could fight anybody. He's going to get those odds. In fact, Barberina is technically a short-notice replacement for his last opponent, Andrew Hallbrook, but he was pretty much the exact same odds going into that fight. People love this kid. There's videos of him online folding a frying pan in half. He's completely jacked. But the problem is, I don't want to say too many chefs in the kitchen. I don't mean to disrespect him. I know he's a talented kid, but there's a lot of factors that are working against him. First of all, only 19 years old.
Which guy is this? Sage?
This is Super Sage Northcut. He's only 19 years old.
Super Sage. I like Super Sage, though.
It's a good little nickname.
It's a really good nickname.
Yeah, and he looks like Zach from Saved by the Bell, so he's got the goods.
Does he come out with a gigantic telephone?
Oh, that would be the best.
That should be his thing. Like, he go retro 80s on us.
The thing is, he's 19, so he has no idea what those giant telephones are. I mean, literally, he was on protein shakes and creatine when he was 5. His dad apparently got busted for steroids back in the day.
Oh, perfect.
And is a former bodybuilder. So Sage he does have the goods.
And he's probably a crazy person then.
No, he goes to Texas A&M as an
No,
engineer.
there's no way.
Texas A&M
there's no
as an
way that you were being
engineer.
fed creatine when you were 5 years old. That doesn't warp you somehow. He's probably been working out since he was 10.
Yeah.
Like lifting weights. That's not good for you.
Yeah, but the thing is, he's programmed. Like this guy, I would assume, if someone was to tell me tomorrow, man, apparently, he turns out that he's a robot. I'd been like, yeah, well, could have saw that one coming. This one's Skynet, his first foray into trying to take over the world, Pat, is having this kid because he's literally just made of something else. He's brilliant. He's good looking. He's super athletic. He's traveled the entire of the world.
Sounds like you want to bone him.
I'm betting against him. And I'm assuming most people would, but he's super Catholic.
So, yeah, that's not going to fly.
Yeah. After his last fight, he goes, I hope everybody goes home and Googles John 3:16. And I was like, what? I was hoping Stone Cold Steve Austin would come out and be like, well, Austin 3:16 says I just whooped your ass.
So Brian Barberina, he's the guy. 8,400 DraftKings, $4,400 on Kountermove. Like,
crazy.
He is the savings.
Oh, yeah.
If you take him. So how does he win this fight? Or how does he compete in this fight?
Okay, so Brian Barberina trains out of a gym called the MMA Lab, and these guys are known as grinding-type fighters, and they're also always in shape. These guys don't take a vacation. So people are assuming he's coming in on short notice, but one of two things. He already had a fight booked 4 weeks later than this fight, so he was training, and 2, he's always in good shape. He's only 25 years old, so he's still a young guy himself. Now, he's 1-1 in the UFC, Pat. His first fight in the UFC, he took on short notice. He loses the first round. He wins the second round. He knocks the guy out in the third round because he's got great cardio. His second fight in the UFC, he fights a very good fighter, undefeated Canadian Chad Laprise. He loses the first round, he loses the second round, and in the third round, he almost finishes Laprise and wins it. His cardio is fantastic. He always keeps coming, and he's just got. I seen this guy take a kick in the head pat and eat it like a sandwich. Was just like, can I get another one? Like, his chin is unbelievable. He's never been knocked out in his career, and he has a high, degree of power. So now I look at Bryan Barberena and I think, okay, how does he match up against Super Sage Northcut? Now Northcut's only 19 years old, and the thing is, his skill just haven't really developed. He's still kind of very much this striker, likes to use his wrestling skills if he can. But in his last fight against Cody Pfister, he has a sweet first name, but he's a bum. He really is. So he takes down Sage Northcutt, holds him down, and that's the moment you realize Northcutt's got nothing off his back. He doesn't try to sweep. He doesn't try to get up. He doesn't try to submit anybody. And he's probably going to lose the first round, but then the ref thinks to himself, ooh, I got Sage Northcutt inside the distance on here. So stands them back up, and then Sage Northcutt takes over. Second round, Cody Pfister completely gassed. Northcutt beats him. Bryan Barberena does not get tired. He doesn't lose 3 rounds. He has never lost the third round in a UFC fight. He's more experienced. He's a little older. Trains at a better gym. Always keeps coming. And you look at this value on him. I mean, come on.
Are you taking the plus 375 bet too?
Yeah, I'm going to put some small action on it because it's such a good line. And I got to tell everybody, don't put Sage Northcutt on your parlays because Bryan Barberena might as well change his name from Bryan Bam Bam Barberena to Bryan the Parlay Buster Barberena, because I think he's got an actual shot at winning this year.
All right, so that's going to be a stay away. That's a great value, though. I mean, like I mentioned, $8,400, $4,400. We can build an all-star team now. So who else are we taking here?
Yeah, okay. So now that you've got a ton of money, I think I want to go with Josh Barnett. Now, if you look at the straight money line here, Pat, I mean, yeah, it's not indicative.
Minus 135 is the money line on Josh Barnett. He is 10-1 on DraftKings and $5,000 on Kountermove. So he's not killing you on either site.
Yeah, so first of all, he's a heavyweight, and we always know with heavyweights there's a great probability that someone's going to get finished. What side of the coin do you want to land on? This guy not only has a granite chin, which is great to have in the heavyweight division because everyone, throws absolute meat hammers at you. If they hit you, they're going to knock you out. So being able to take a shot, that helps out. His opponent, Rothwell, can take a shot also. So in the striking exchanges, I think that Rothwell's probably got more power. Barnett's a little more technical. It's the ground game, I think, that bails him out. This guy is the man. Catch-can wrestling. He will get the fight to the ground, and when he does get the fight to the ground, he doesn't use very much energy, just enough to advance his position and choke you out. In fact, he competed in a grappling tournament last year, and he submitted an American by the name of Dean Lister. And Dean Lister hadn't been submitted since the fall of 1999. So let that sink in for a moment.
So he beat up an old man, is what you're saying.
He's older than him, technically. I think they're both 38. But regardless, we see with heavyweights, they mature a lot later on. It's kind of like goalies in the NHL. You can enter the league a little older and still make it happen for yourself because the wear and tear is just not the same. These guys aren't cutting weight for the most part. Josh Barnett weighs 240 pounds. The limit's 265. He's not cutting any weight. And he's such a smart guy. And, in his free time, he plays, Magic cards and stuff like that. So he's
Magic the Gathering.
And Magic the Gathering is not hard on your body at all.
No,
it's
really
a good hobby to have.
That is very true. It's better than like rock climbing or skydiving.
Exactly. Now, he also does a lot of pro wrestling, and that's not good on your body. But the fact is, he goes to a very good gym where he's got a coach named Eric Paulson, and this guy's a wizard. This guy knows exactly what he's doing.
His name is Eric Paulson.
Exactly. Ben Rothwell, he runs his own gym.
Oh,
Who's teaching him? So
he is self-taught. Like Roger Federer.
Self-taught.
Worked for Roger.
Yeah. So the fact is, we got one guy in Josh Barnett who, I don't want to say he's a genius, but he's a brilliant man. He's very, very smart, very educated. You got Ben Rothwell, who when he fights, he's like, you hit me and I hit you, and that's just not going to fly with Josh Barnett. So I think Josh Barnett takes this guy down, probably puts him away sometime in the second round, and there's good enough value here that I would definitely like to play the War Master Josh Barnett.
So for people that don't know, I'm not too familiar with the whole MMA scene. I'm getting more of it as we go, but I mispronounce an awful lot of names. So every time that you hear me mispronounce a name, you're going to hear... That's the sound that it tends to make. So I'm only saying this because I'm going to start bringing up fights now. I want to know about some people.
Okay.
But I'm only here for daily fantasy purposes. I'm trying to construct a roster together and maybe find some good bets along the way. You're here to talk about the MMA, so I need to know about this fight. 10,200 versus 9,200 on DraftKings. We have Jimmy Rivera versus Yuri Alcantara.
Yuri. Yeah, Yuri Alcantara. Jimmy Rivera. You got Jimmy Rivera, I'll give you that one.
That's not an L? Or
no.
That is an L?
I.
Oh, it's an I.
See, I know. Because it's a capital I. It's going to get you, right?
It absolutely murdered me.
You should talk to your stats guy.
I know. Just killing me here.
Killing you.
Yeah, I know. So, Any interest in this fight?
Yeah, Yuri Alcantara has a good reputation because he's fought good guys. He's 35 years old, I believe. He's fought in the UFC for quite some time, and he has a good reputation. The Jimmy Rivera kid, this will now be his third fight in the UFC, so I don't think people really have a good grasp and understanding of who he is.
He's 18-1.
He's 18-1, and for a damn good reason. And this is not, fluffing your record on the regional scene before making it to the UFC. He fought really good guys on the regional scene before making it to the UFC. So he's the biggest issue here is that he's 5'4". His opponent's 5'9". So that's a considerable size advantage. But his opponent is a decent striker, more of a ground guy. Jimmy Rivera can hold his own on the ground, but he likes to strike. Because he's 5'4", most people will be like, ooh, that's a disadvantage.
But
I'm going to say...
He can get inside, though, can he?
Yeah, and I'm going to say not a disadvantage because he's such a better level of striker that it doesn't matter that his opponent's bigger than him. He's dealt with this his entire life, right? So he's going to be able to still, be effective on the feet. Getting the fight to the ground, it's pretty hard to take down a guy who's 5'4" because he's a little fire hydrant. It's like, oh, his center of gravity's so low, I really got to get in on him. And Alcantara is a great jiu-jitsu player. His takedowns are so-so. So Jimmy Rivera fought a very good guy in his last time out, Pedro Munoz, who's a high-level black belt. I think he'll have very much of the same success. It was a tough fight, but I think I'm going to pull it away here. And it's not an upset. He's a basically slight favorite. I think the line's heading towards his direction, but I like El Terror, Jimmy Rivera.
It looks like we have some Eastern European names on this card here. So tell me a little bit about George Sullivan, not an Eastern European name, at least I don't think so, versus Alexander Yakovalev.
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 But pretty close. I'm sure it's a tomato-tomato situation.
That's an X.
Okay, Yakovalev's last fight, he fought at 155 pounds. This fight's at 170 pounds. However, if you see him at 155, it's mind-blowing how this guy ever got to that weight. I mean, he is absolutely gigantic.
Really?
Yeah. The other thing, too, is that he's, right from deep in Russia, and, he spent most of his career in Russia. He's a master of sport in many of different disciplines down there, which is high credential for combat anyways. But he's actually moved to New Jersey, where he trains at this Russian gym in New Jersey called the K-Warrior Dojo Tribe. Let me tell you, those guys are as legit as they come. So the fact is that I know he's moving up a weight class, and I was a little hurting on that before. I was like, ooh, that'll probably hurt him because George Sullivan's a big body, but this guy's 6'1". So at 170, he's going to be just fine. He's fought at 170 many times in the past, and I do like George Sullivan, but George Sullivan is breakable. You can break him the later the fight goes. His cardio's not fantastic, and I think that Yakovalev will just grind on him. Close first round, closer second round, but I think Yakovalev will start to pull away in the second, and then either clean-cut third round, he takes the decision, or maybe you can put this guy away in the third.
Is he worth it at 9,800 or 4,900 on either one of your teams?
Yeah, to be honest, I did have him on DraftKings and Kountermove at the beginning of the week, but the more that I've watched tape, the more that I've thought about it, I could get away from him on DraftKings, but Kountermove the 4,900, I definitely see some value there, so I did play him.
All right, Randy Brown is 10-5 on DraftKings, 4-9 on Kountermove up against Matt Dwire, 8,900 versus 4,700. 10-5 seems expensive.
Way too expensive.
But he's minus 200. He is one of the bigger favorites. I mean, is he someone that you need to have on? Is it a quick finish? Let me ask you that.
Yeah, well, I did actually play him, but I'd like to specify 10,500 is definitely overvalued for Randy Brown. And when I set up this lineup, I was thinking in my head GPP. Randy Brown's 6-0. He's finished all 6 of those opponents. He also has a decent amateur record, but he comes from a show called what is it, Finding a Fighter or whatever. It's Dana's new show, and that's where Sage Northcut came from. They go on the road, basically, find a fighter, and they spot out guys that they like. They like this Randy Brown guy. They signed him. So as I mentioned, he's 6-0 as a pro, all 6 wins coming by way finish. Matt Dwire, he's now 8-3. He's 1-2 in the UFC. His last fight, he lasted a decision, but he almost got knocked out twice. His first fight in the UFC, he got knocked out in 1 minute and 3 seconds. He got kicked in the head by a guy that was 5'10", and he's 6'4". So how did he let that happen? I don't know. But I really like Matt Dwire. He's a super polite guy, very good dude, and he has a good chin. But if there's one knock against him, Pat, he is so unbelievably hittable. It's ridiculous. His head's always up in the air, and he can take it. But against Randy Brown, who's 6'2", who's the biggest guy that Matt Dwire's ever fought in his career, and is a known finisher, you don't want him to be hittable, and he is hittable, and that's going to cost him.
So Randy Brown might be a high-variance player. He might score a ton, or he might not score anything at all, but you think for GPP-wise, he's someone that you want to capitalize because the quick finish could be there.
To be honest, if he wins, I think he wins either really fast or completely just beats this guy up for 3 rounds, and it's good value on him. For 10,500, you need the finish.
Yeah, you do.
Over on Kountermove for 4,900, you could take a 3-round beating and still be okay. If he loses, he's not going to lose fast, I don't think. If he loses, he's just going to get, grinded out for the course of the 3 rounds. But my last point on this is that when you look at Matt Dwire and he's 6'4", he has a 77-inch reach, right? So his last opponent, Alan Joban, is a tick under 6 feet, and he had so much reach on Matt Dwire, it's ridiculous. His fight before that, against Aubin, he had so much reach, it was ridiculous. His fight before that, Padalino, 5'11", he had so much reach on him. Before that, Tumanov, 5'11", so much reach on him. All of his fights in the regional scene, Pat, these guys were all short guys with no reach. Randy Brown's 6'2", so he's 2 inches shorter than 6'4". 80-inch reach on this guy, 80 inches. So Matt Dwire, who's never fought a guy who had more reach than him, his whole game's based on stay on the outside and pop.
So he might step into one.
He's going to step into a few. He's going to think, he's so used to I jab, you jab, and I get there first because I'm longer. It ain't going to happen this time. Brown's a known finisher. He's aggressive. He's from New Jersey, fighting in New Jersey. Everything's kind of adding up for him. So I think he's got a very, very good shot here.
Tony Martin versus Felipe Olivieri.
Yeah, pretty much.
Boom.
I know.
Pretty much.
Normally you'd be like, Felipe Olivieri, but you got this one.
Yeah, but usually that's usually my
I
downfall.
know.
Hey, it's a Felipe Olivieri.
Exactly.
But again, I keep reminding myself, they're not Italian.
Yeah, no, Brazilian.
No matter what their names look like, not Italian.
Exactly.
So is Tony Martin at 10,000? I mean, he comes in at minus 175. He's a pretty heavy favorite. And if you do need to save, let's say, the $500 off Randy Brown, is Martin a good alternative?
Yeah, I think he's definitely a good alternative. He's 1-3 in the UFC, so once again, that's why you're getting some value on him. Now, he's a purple belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and if you watch him fight...
How do the rankings go?
Yeah, so white belt, you just showed up to the
that's
gym.
me.
Yeah, they just hand you a belt.
I don't even have a white belt.
You know what? I've seen people stay at white belt for a very long time. They're good at jiu-jitsu. It's just they don't do gi jiu-jitsu, so to speak. But you go white belt, you go blue belt, you go purple belt, you go brown belt, you go black belt. And then after black belt, you can get a 2nd degree and a 3rd degree and a 4th degree and such until you eventually get to a red belt, which you will never get, which nobody...
Does anyone have a red belt?
The guys that invented jiu-jitsu, so to speak, they got some red belts.
Okay.
But it's not... You're not going to get there kind of thing, right?
I got my yellow belt.
Yeah, so that's like karate or taekwondo? Karate?
Sure.
Yeah, I meet people all the time who are like, I got a tangerine belt. And you're like, I don't know what that is.
Not what I'm talking about. Well, let's keep going.
Oh, in that case. So when you look at Tony Martin, right, his game is geared towards use my jiu-jitsu. And he's got good jiu-jitsu for a purple belt. His last fight, bona fide black belt beats him up. His first loss in the UFC, huge Russian who the fight was never going to hit the ground. His second fight in the UFC, awesome black belt. The one that he won, Pat, the guy was also a black belt. This guy, all he does is deal with black belts. And as a result, his game, use my jiu-jitsu, doesn't really work out because their game is use my superior jiu-jitsu. Now he's getting Felipe Olivieri, and this guy's actually been on 2 reality shows, Pat. One of them was called Fight Exchange. They sent 3 Brazilians to Canada to train and 3 Canadians to Brazil to train, and at the end of it, they put you on some crappy card, right? So that's where I knew him from. And he wasn't impressive. Then he tries out for The Ultimate Fighter, Season 2 Brazil. You have to win a fight to get into the house. He does not even win that fight to get into the house.
Then how is he in the UFC?
Yeah, nobody knows. He's had 1 pro fight in like the last 3 years, and to be honest, I'm not 100%. This is the kind of guy you'd expect to come in if it was in Brazil, which it's not, or if there was an injury replacement and they need somebody short notice, which he's not. So the only thing I can think of is you got Tony Martin, who's 26 years old. Tony Martin's 1-3 in the UFC.
They want to get him a win?
He needs a win. He's a really likable guy. He's the kind of guy that could grow in the UFC and go on to do some big things. You got to get this guy back on track. Don't give him another black belt. Give him somebody he can beat. And who can he beat? This guy.
Any more quick finishes just before we get into your lineups that you see, like Dustin Ortiz? Is he a finisher?
No, complete grinder. In fact, all of his...
Stay away for fantasy purposes.
I would say the chances of him finishing, it's MMA, anything could happen, but yeah, just not very good. He's known as a win a decision. Grind you, get a decision. I looked for finishes, I really did. And other than Anthony Johnson, Josh Barnett, and Randy Brown, those are the finishes that jump off at you. There's obviously going to be some guys later on that could get that finish, but this very much seems to be a competitive card where matchmaking's close, the odds are fairly close for the most part, and there will be some dogs that come through. One guy that has some value, I did not play on my team, this Macio Fulling guy. He's got great value on him. He's taking on a guy by the name of Alex Caceres.
He is, so Fulling is $8,600 on DraftKings and $4,400. So let's say you want to play a GPP team, just to throw this out here, and you don't want to go with your boy Barbarina at the $4,400. Is this another guy that you can use to have some savings?
Yeah, so he's 145 pounds, he's a former pro boxer. His opponent, Bruce Leroy, cool name, Bruce Leroy, he's lost his last 3 fights. His last fight, he got knocked down in 23 seconds. When he does win fights, they're super competitive split decisions. And basically, most of his career, Pat, has been 135 pounds. So he's on a 3-fight losing streak, just got knocked out bad, and he's actually moving up a weight class. So Macio Fulling's not that great. But if the fight stays standing, that's where he's going to have his biggest shot. And Bruce Leroy seems to have a really low ring IQ. When he should take the fight to the ground, he doesn't. When he should do something, he doesn't. He's got good submissions, he don't use them. And he's actually 0-2 in the UFC already at 145. Hasn't fought there in 3 years. But both times he tried to fight at 145, he got choked out. So I don't think Massimo Fulton, the former pro boxer, is going to choke him out. But is it possible he clips him and put him down? Yeah. And if he does, you're going to be one of the very few teams that has played Massimo Fulton.
So Massimo Fulton, if you're going to play a bunch of GPP and tournament lineups, probably a nice guy to sprinkle in there if you want to load up on the top guys.
He trains at Alliance MMA, which is where Dominic Cruz, who just won the UFC bantamweight title,
Hey,
trains.
he won me. He's the guy who came through for me in my cash games. Everyone had the other guy, Dillashaw.
Yeah, exactly.
You told me about
exactly.
Cruz, I took Cruz.
And this is a super gym, Alliance MMA. So put in the fact that, yes, Fulton lost his last fight. He's got 2 back-to-back camps at a super gym with great guys that he's training with. So I think he'll do just fine.
All right, let's quickly get into your DFS lineups for the week. DraftKings-wise, let's hear it.
Okay, DraftKings. So as I mentioned, Anthony Johnson, 10,900. Definitely a guy that has the potential to just blast off Ryan Bader's head, get that knockout. That's what we want. Randy Brown, same thing. I'll admit, 10,500, a little bit expensive. However, Randy Brown, proven finisher, taking on a guy, Matt Dwire, who, once again, is very hittable. So I definitely like that. Josh Barnett, 10,100. Ring IQ and submission offense. That's the name of the game here. I think he's going to put both to very good use, and he's going to get the finish here. Now we got Tony Martin, $10,000. Does Tony Martin finish Felipe Olivieri? Maybe, maybe not. But he should be able to go in there, get a pretty clean win. And if you're playing a cash game, you need a guy like this. If you're playing a GPP, there's still the offhand chance that he does choke him out. In his only UFC win, he got a first-round submission, so good signs there. And then we got Brian Barberina at 8,400. Now, that's obviously your big risk of the day. But once again, if he's the guy that wins, a lot of these guys are playing Sage Northcut. A lot of these guys are just thinking, oh, it's Super Sage, the guy that folds frying pans, the guy that does, double backflips and does the 2 thumbs up. I don't care about all that. I want Brian Barberina. This guy's rugged, this guy's tough, and this guy wants to spoil the hype train. I think he's got a great shot at doing it.
Now, Kountermove, the team is very, very similar. Only one player that is exchanged. Yakovalev at 4,900 replaces Tony Martin here.
Yeah, you know what? Beginning of the week, I thought, geez, George Sullivan's such a bigger body. He can hold down Yakovalev, and that's going to give him some trouble. But the problem with Yakovalev is he went 3 full rounds at Damian Maia, where he had the best grappler in the UFC, completely, running shop on him, and he did not get submitted. He did not really put himself in many positions to get submitted. He is a very tough guy. He's very durable, and that's the way to beat George Sullivan. George Sullivan's a tough guy too, but not durable. The longer the fight goes, you can expose this guy. You can hurt this guy. And that's what actually I fully expect for Yakovalev to do. First round's going to be close. Second round's going to be close, but in Yakovlev's favor. And then by the end, I think it's going to be clear-cut Alexander Yakovlev, Thunder of the North. That's what his nickname is. So, and this guy's a Russian gangster too. There's videos of him online doing gangster shit. And let me tell you something about that. You know what they don't like in Russia? Losers. So he's going to have a lot of explaining to do if he loses this one.
Hey, Donald Trump wins the election. There's going to be no losers left in the U.S. either.
Because they're all getting shipped back home, I hear.
Yeah, just get out of the country. No losers allowed.
Well, hopefully Donald Trump doesn't win that.
This is true.
I'm not into American politics, so I'll just stop there.
Cody Saftik, check him out on the Bookie Beatdown with Paul Shaughnessy on the Fantasy and Fight Network. You can follow him on Twitter at CJ Saftik and subscribe to the Bookie Beatdown on iTunes, Podomatic, or the video feed up on the Fight Network.
Yes, most definitely. At CJ Saftik. Give me a holler.
Yeah, he'll answer.
I do.
He has real insight on this. I obviously do not. But you can harass me anyway at the PME on Twitter and subscribe to the Pat Mayo Hour on YouTube, iTunes, Podomatic, Stitcher, Xbox, Roku. There's a whole litany of places if you indulge in multimedia where you can find the Pat Mayo Hour. I'm Pat Mayo, and I'll see you next time.